everybody. Welcome to the Wilder Podcast. I am Douglas Belshie. I go by Belshie Bits, and this is Bart, who's joining us today. He recently released his Z Thesis that really made waves and moved markets. How are you doing today, Bart?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. Little too much caffeine today, but so far so
Good.
good.
Yeah, I mean, kind of off recording, we've been kind of vibing and talking and kind of getting to know each other a little bit. But tell me a little bit about yourself. How do you find yourself within this space?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like first and foremost, just me as a person. I'm a Christian, and that kind of comes before everything else. I'm a husband. I'm a son. Going to be a father soon, so that's kind of where my personal life is at. Really starting to orient more around family, which is great. And of course, underneath all that, I'm a Wilder. Like that's never going to leave me. Um, Still really important to my identity to this day. And yeah, within the space, like I'm a marketer. Really, that's if you want to break it down to one thing. I mean, my passion's definitely with communications. Portraying visions to audiences and getting people to care about stuff and rally behind good, genuine people in the space. I mean, I got into the space originally as, or I got into the space publicly, like kind of joined crypto Twitter, made my Twitter account, all that kind of stuff initially because I saw so much talk about scams. And my initial thought was, okay, well, if I put myself out there and write all of these terrible tweets, if I can prevent one person from kind of falling victim to a scam or a rug pull or whatever, then that'd be pretty awesome. And yeah, I kind of went from there. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how I see myself in the space at a core level.
What kind of keeps you around? What do you love about this space that kind of gives you that energy, that enthusiasm, that kind of keeps you interested and piqued in writing amazing articles? What is it about this space that just, really speaks to who you are?
I don't know if there's a industry in the world that has a bigger potential to fix a lot of what's wrong and and really transform lives. You look at AI, and AI is amazing, but it's overshadowed by, hey, we might all die. And it's the same thing with robotics and biotech. People use that to make weapons of mass destruction. To me, crypto is like the freedom technology, and it's also, I think, the yin to the yang that is AI. Like AI enables so much, but one of the things it enables is people to fake anything, right? And crypto kind of parries that by being the technology that enables you to prove the validity of anything. So, I see crypto as such a force for good, and that started like when I first read the Bitcoin white paper. The concept of just peer to peer money that no one can interfere with is such a noble cause. And that's really what keeps me around is while there are a lot of negative bad actors in the space, there's even more people that are really pushing themselves to the limit on a weekly basis to try to build something that can have a positive impact on the world and kind of lead to this shared vision that I think most of us have for what the world could look like with crypto implemented properly.
I'm with you. I mean, I've had awesome experiences throughout. I've been in multiple communities, I've led different communities. I always get pretty passionate and really involved in it. I'm not one to sit in shadows and just kind of sit on the sideline. I'm definitely one that kind of gets in. Ever since my dad brought home a Macintosh computer and I was playing around on brick and paint and just kind of messing around with it, I've always had this fascination with Apple. But I was too young to really understand that growth coming in, even when the iPhone came out and the iPod and the revolution those things were with technology and stuff. I was a little too young and naive to even understand what that was, but I've always been a fan. I've always loved technology. And then here we are in this moment where my brother talks to me about Bitcoin at Thanksgiving, just like a typical conversation might be that we hear in the memes. We're having this conversation at Thanksgiving. He asked my brother and I, like, hey, do you know anything about Bitcoin? And I was like, yeah, I've kind of heard about it and stuff. And he told me, you should open up a Bitcoin account and on Coinbase and just mess around with it and just kind of look. And getting into that kind of got me to better understand a little bit about the space. But the biggest moment was in 2020, and I can literally visualize it right now. I'm in my room, and I hear about the stock market crash, and I hear about all these types of things. And the crazy thing is I kind of have been looking at cryptocurrency over the time a little bit, but not a ton. The first thought I had was go look at the Bitcoin price, and I go and look at the Bitcoin price, and it's $4,000. And I just remember I had just received a bonus at work and had some savings, and I ended up buying 1.5 Bitcoin at the time. And I remember I looked at my wife at the time. I was just like, I'm not asking permission. I'm just doing this. I'm just letting you know. And I went ahead and I bought it because I knew I had enough experience to know there was good value there. Um, uh, I don't. The crazy thing is that I had student loans and other things, and when it 4x'd, I felt like it was a smart idea to sell and be able to pay off all of my debts. Well, the crazy thing is that was in September of 2020, and we all know what happens directly after that. It goes parabolic all the way up to like 60,000, and I missed out on some pretty good gains, but I took profits when I thought was beneficial for my family. And the incredible thing is that I learned about the space. It got me kind of hooked. I saw it rise, I saw it fall, I saw everything kind of go in. But what really grabbed onto me is kind of similar to the potential that you said was there is so much capability. I started to learn about the technology because then I came across NFTs because NFTs in 2021 just went crazy, and I started learning about that technology. But then we come across Wilder World and Zero and stuff, and I really get hooked. And that's something we're going to talk about later. But I'm really interested. You have this love for the technology, and then I came across an article that you wrote about Wilder World and Zero, and you captivated me. You like honestly did. I was captivated. I had imagined things. I had thought about things. I had researched things on my own, and they were all in my head. But then all of a sudden, I come across your article, and I was like, "Wait a minute! This guy is like literally speaking my mind and really speaking to the things that I'm excited about." And so it just you have this ability to be able to write really well. It's obvious with the current results of what your Z thesis is that we're going to get talking into. But what got you in to this love of writing and this ability to be able to express yourself through the written word and to captivate people? Because I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of individuals that have really gravitated towards that article.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how this is going to sound, but I guess I'll preface this by saying like I don't consider myself a talented person. I think like my brother who plenty of people watching is a very talented person. My wife's a very talented person. Um and by talented I mean like multidisciplinary kind of God-given just gifts. And that's I don't consider that to be myself except for writing. Like writing's kind of like it's just a God-given thing. I I remember being really young at my grandparents' house. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. Like this is one of like kind of early childhood memories. And I remember my grandma just telling me like, "Hey, you're gonna be a writer someday." Like I guess I had written something, and she like any grandma would is like, "This is amazing," which I don't, it doesn't hold too much weight. I don't think. But and the funny thing about that is, even at the time, at that age, I was like, well, I'll never make any money writing, like that's what I care about. So I was like, okay, grandma, like whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's I guess across like being young, like writing was something I typically enjoyed doing, unless it was a punishment. Something very famous with my family is that whenever myself or one of my brothers would get in trouble, my mom would make us take out notebook paper and write like, I will not do this, like 2,000 times, type, where you're sitting down for hours, pencil and paper, just like searing whatever the lesson is into your brain. So I didn't like writing when it was that, but actually like writing stories and just putting thoughts onto paper, I've always enjoyed that and found it to be therapeutic as well. Um, like whenever there's like a ton of stuff going on in my head and it's chaotic and I'm trying to just settle my mind, just getting it on paper kind of extracts it out of the mind. And it's like, okay, at least it's put somewhere. And that's been like a great part of writing for me as well. But yeah, I mean, writing was never, it wasn't something I really pursued super actively. Like I had a really hard ass English teacher in high school who was like, I mean, really old woman, like notorious for decades of how difficult this woman's class was. And I performed really well in her class. Like I learned so much. I kind of just took it head on. Like, I'm not going to let this class like beat me or and that kind of stuff. And the only other writing class I think I took, outside of like the required classes, I took like a creative writing class, probably because there were some girls in there that I liked. I don't know, but I ended up really enjoying the creative writing aspect of it. Like that was kind of where I first realized like, okay, I really do enjoy this type of work. But again, like wasn't really looking to pursue it at all. I went to college at Indiana University for the business school because it was a top ranked business school, and I wanted to do finance. My dad's a financial advisor. Like that's been kind of in my life since I was born, and I wanted to possibly do what he does and help people get to financial freedom. Or I wanted to be like a big shot investment banker and make all the money. And Wolf of Wall Street kind of came out when I was in high school, so that was huge. Um, and like I ended up taking another creative writing class in college, and that was the only like non kind of required writing class that I took in college. The other one was business writing, which I'll get that in a second. But the creative writing class I took, this teacher was like on something, like super just like out there. I think he was definitely on drugs, or at least he just seemed like that kind of guy, but had like a really kind of just deep creative genius about him. And surprisingly, I did learn a lot from him. And the business writing class I took, it was supposed to be one of those just like easy A classes. Like everyone at the business school was like, yeah, you take business writing, you get an easy A plus, like no problem. And I walk into this class day one, and the teacher basically says, all right, I know everyone here thinks business writing's an easy A, and you're right, but not in my class. She's like, this is one of the hardest classes you will take your entire 4 years. So pretty much like strap in. And it was kind of like deja vu with the high school English teacher that I had. That was really difficult, but it like, just it pushed me kind of to the limit of my writing capabilities at the time, and really just, I think it was foundational for kind of honing my skill. But yeah, that's kind of like all the writing that I had done up until the point that I wrote the article. And I had written like some short stories like in my free time and that kind of stuff, but it was never something where I was like, oh, I'm gonna like actually make a career out of this, and same with crypto. It was kind of like I was able to, through that article, combine the two real passions of mine, which were crypto and writing, which I never thought I'd even get one of those. So
So take us to that moment where you write that article. Are you working for the team? Are you not? How did you come across it? Like, walk us through the steps of like what got you to that point where you write the article.
yeah, I'll start at the beginning. So I get into Bitcoin in 2017 through crime.
You're the
And
problem. You're the reason we're in the place we are.
right, so the what was going on is I was heading off to college, and I needed a new fake ID, as one does. And a guy at my high school was putting together this order, and he's like, yeah, everyone give me the money, like I got you. And he ended up scamming everybody. And and it's like, oh, like, I don't know what happened, it's not my fault, type of thing. But one of my close friends at the time, who was actually going to IU with me, we're like, all right, we're two smart people, like we can figure this out. And kind of decided that after having a gym session, and we're like, all right, I guess we're gonna figure out how to get fake IDs. And turns out, at the time, there were two options. It was pay in Bitcoin or open a Wells Fargo bank account and transfer through that. And I was like, well, I don't want my parents to know what I'm doing. So what the hell is this Bitcoin thing? And start to try to figure out how to buy Bitcoin. It like leads me to this website that's like all in Chinese. There's no chat GPT at the time. There's no like Google Translate embedded into the browser. So I can't work with this at all. And I get to like this dead end. And then luckily I find Coinbase and create an account, not really thinking much about Bitcoin. Like, we kind of just do the fake ID thing. We get some money from other people to get them in on the order, because that like decreases the price of the each individual ID. And my friend and I were like, hey, we'll make some money doing this. And we actually gained an extra $50 in profit off of Bitcoin, because the price went up. And for two young ambitious guys that are, again, like all hyped up on the Wolf of Wall Street, like going into finance, all this kind of stuff, it was like, oh, we made $50 in a week, like, and that's a big deal at the time. So it's like, what's this Bitcoin stuff? And read the white paper, and I think, like many people, it was just like a kind of out of body, like, aha moment, where it's like, this is right, and this is going to change the world. And I need to put every ounce of energy that I can into this topic. And that's like kind of the type of guy I am. Like, when I really kind of get into a subject or like a hobby or something, it's I'm all in. Like, so it's getting everything I have, or everything that I can give it, at least.
So it's
And
like we're all on the spectrum a little bit. We all have our isms.
yeah, yeah, you could say it that way. And luckily, at the time, like, IU had a blockchain club, and I went, and pretty much like my welcome message was, yeah, there's Bitcoin, and that's money. Ethereum's cool because you can build stuff on it. XRP is a scam, and that's like pretty much all you have to know. And from there, like, I was Bitcoin only until, I'm looking at my notes here, like summer of 2021. And my brother was talking to me nonstop about NBA Top Shot. And he was at the University of Virginia for football, so like I didn't get to see him a whole lot. And we're doing this family vacation to Alaska, and all I'm hearing about are these basketball cards. I was like, dude, I don't care. Like, I haven't seen you in months, and you want to talk to me about these basketball cards that aren't even real. Like, shut up. and and he just kept talking about it and talking about it. And he got me to just start looking at stuff, and it kind of basically snowballed into us finding the sandbox and Decentraland. And for me, that's when it kind of clicked. I was like, okay, I had seen Ready Player One, I think 4 months prior. It was like perfect timing, and it's like, okay, so this Ready Player One future that when I saw the movie, I was like, this is going to be in 100 years. I'll never see it. People are already building the metaverse, like they're already trying to, and I know how fast tech can grow and accelerate. So it seems like this metaverse thing, I'm actually going to see it. And that was the next thing where I was like, and people are going to own their assets, they're going to be NFTs and all that kind of stuff. So I put like my whole self into trying to learn about what was going on with these metaverse projects, and nothing was really hitting just right. I hadn't had kind of that Bitcoin aha moment until I found Wilder World. And the funny thing about that was I knew who Frank Wilder was from years before. I yeah, like I checked my Instagram DMs before this, so I had the date right. But I was messaging Frank in March of 2018, and what the story behind that was, I was in college, and I wanted to get a necklace to be cool or whatever. And I saw that G-Eazy, the rapper, had a necklace that I thought was pretty cool. And I showed it to my buddy who was also a G-Eazy fan, and he was from California. And I was like, oh, this is like a cool necklace. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's Frank Wilder. I was like, what? Who's this guy? And he showed me Frank's Instagram. He's like, yeah, you can just DM him. He'll help you get a necklace, like all that kind of stuff. So I had followed Frank for years, kind of before I got into anything metaverse related, and Frank was like a myth to me. He's like a legend, It's this person that like you see on camera running around the streets and everything, but like he's not actually real, right? Like that was kind of
He's a
the
persona.
yeah, yeah, he's a persona. And I remember at one point, I don't know when exactly this was, but seeing his first kind of initial post about Wilder World, and I just completely blew it off because I was like, well, this isn't necklaces. I don't know what this is. And that was like, if I would have paid attention, I would have been able to get in like kind of like a pre-sale situation, been like crazy early to all of it, which don't know how much of a difference that would have made. I had no money as a college student, but when I when I saw Wilder World and doing my research, I was like, oh, that's the thing that Frank's working on. Okay, like what is this? And from there, I started finding Neo's early zines, which that's kind of what sparked me. Is like, Neo's an incredible writer. I think he's a better writer than me, which like annoys me a little bit, but he's because of course he is. Um, but
That
it
guy, man.
was,
So many
yeah,
talents.
right. And the articles were so, you could tell that there was experience, intelligence, and wisdom behind it, and just incredible vision and foresight. And that was like really really gripping for me, and kind of reading like the zero master plan, and seeing, like, I think the zero master plan led me to then watch the zero technical trailer, the video that was on YouTube. And when I saw that trailer, I actually cried because I was, and I'm not someone who cries for anything ever. But it was like, I've found it. Like this is actually it. And that was like my kind of Bitcoin moment, but for the metaverse, where all of the stuff I had been reading, like it just came together, and I was like, this is actually the thing that is the vision that I've kind of been looking for. So then it's just tunnel vision, everything else goes away. And I spent the next 3, 4 weeks writing the article because in my mind, I had just kind of started tweeting a month before. I wanted to help some people. And I was like, why is no one talking about this? Like, is anyone researching? Can anyone read? So it's like, hey, like I'll do it, you know? And yeah, I published it. It did really well. It's at this point, it's been read over like 140,000 times. And I got the Discord DM from Quantum at the time, and he pretty much was like, hey, man, like, what are you doing for work right now? Do you want to come join this crazy mission and, leave everything you know behind? And he's like, we've got Hypno. Hypno's kind of, he's doing all of our writing, but he's supposed to be in charge of partnerships. He really shouldn't be spending so much time on it. So I was like, hey man, I'll do an interview. And we got on a call and talked about writing and what they would need me to do. And he was kind of like, well, what else can you do? Which at the time, like I mentioned before we were recording, it's like I had zero experience. My first job, this was after I had graduated. My first job out of college was being a real estate analyst for a company near South Bend, Indiana. It's like the next town over in Elkhart. And I ended up there because my wife graduated before I did. And she was all worried about like, oh, well, if I get a job somewhere, how's that going to affect your career? And I was like, just go wherever you think is best. Like I'll figure stuff out on my own. So pretty much like got the best job I could in up in South Bend. And it was, yeah, real estate analyst for basically publicly traded company, Patrick Industries. They do like RV, boat, and like manufactured housing. And they kind of own like a bunch of different companies. So they had all these different properties to look after. And it was like the most corporate of corporate jobs. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, leaving to go to work for like a 45-minute commute before pretty much the sun came up because Indiana is just so like dark and gray for most of the year. And a lot of the days I was leaving the office after the sun went down. So there were like a lot of days that I wasn't even seeing the sun. And I've always had like the entrepreneur spirit. I've always been hyper ambitious and I knew that wasn't for me. So that was, while the world was kind of my escape out of corporate America. I lasted like 6 months. Like the day that I got into corporate America, I was like, now it's my mission to get out of corporate America. So yeah, Quantum threw me the lifeline, and that's how I started working with the team.
So you're in with the team, you're working with them. You and I were kind of talking off camera, and you were doing a whole lot of different things. But a lot of people don't get that like behind the scenes understanding of who like Frank and Neo and Phoenix are. Could you share a little bit of what you feel is appropriate of who these individuals are, the like real passion that you see from them as human beings and not just the personas behind the masks, but like your experience of these individuals and why it's helped you keep your passion for these companies that they're helping build?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, these these are actually real people. Okay, like I go in and it's all I'm about to work
I've
for.
personally met with Phoenix. He's the only individual that I've
Okay,
had a conversation like this with period of time when I was with Boss Logic, but I haven't ever had the opportunity to meet Frank or Neo. So yeah, so these are real people. They exist. They're not just personas.
yeah, they're real people, and while the world is it's the great thing is that they cultivate such a family environment within the team, which at this point I've been a part of like 11 different crypto based companies. And some of them it's like blew up after a month of being there or whatever. But like I've seen a lot in 4 years, and nothing has come close to the family environment that Wilder World has, and that comes directly from the leadership team. To start with Neo, it takes a really certain type of individual to be able to, one, attract the world class talent that he has. Like Neo's philosophy with hiring is like, we're just going to go get the best person in the world that does this, and that's that's it. Like nothing else will do. Which here I've heard him kind of mention that before, and I was telling you off camera, it's like that's why when I started early on, I was like, I do not belong here at all, because I joined the team, and people are from Apple and Google. I mean, the biggest and best companies in the world, and I'm just me with like zero tech experience, period. Um, but what's universal across the team is everyone has huge respect for Neo. Like what I've experienced in other teams is you'll get into kind of, the smaller team meetings, or maybe it's just in like one-on-one DMs, and like people like to gossip. They like to say like, oh, I don't agree with like how this is going with the team. And sometimes there can be, disrespect or discontent like towards the founder. And there was, I can't think of a time that there was ever anything like that towards Neo. Like there's the people that are on the team have so much respect for him. Like they really do. And I think part of that, he's like the one person that has aura through a computer screen, where like you're talking to him, and you can just feel kind of the focus, the intensity, the intelligence. Like it can be actually intimidating sometimes, but it really does command respect. And it's, the highest level of professionalism. um his ability to communicate the vision to the team and rally everybody around that mission is the best I've ever seen anyone do it. And the other like big aspect about Neo as a leader, and this extends to Frank and Phoenix as well, and I think all the founders, is the level of perfectionism and attention to detail is it's shocking. And when you experience that, my reaction was like, okay, well, it's no wonder these guys are kind of in the position that they're in. I would get to see just the back and forth like text conversations where we're talking about a trailer that's in development. And when we're talking about blade of grass type level detail, I mean, that's where they take it. It's they their passion for what they do, their love for their craft. It's very extreme, and it like it pushes everyone to try to meet that bar. They really cultivate like what it means to be a Wilder. And it's like we care about every little detail. Like we're gonna, if we're putting something out, it's gonna be the best we can possibly do it, plus an extra 10%. um and I will say like the environment with the team is, at least when I was there, and early on more so because I wasn't used to it, really intense. Like I remember Quantum pretty much telling me, and this was after the fact, he could have warned me, but he was like, yeah, if things weren't working out with you after a month, we would have just let you go. He was like, and I don't know if that's how the team still goes, and I don't know if that's like was how serious he was with that. But there were definitely situations where, okay, this person isn't the right fit. It's been a month and a half or 2 months. Like sorry, we need to find someone who's right for the team. Like they really protect the team culture, and I think like them doing that over the years is why we now see a team that is so mission focused. Like everyone's operating, I would assume, like, you know, I'm obviously not in the meetings or in the team anymore, but I would assume like everyone's just operating at such a incredible level at this point, especially with all the progress that's been made. Like people are playing the game, they're using the app, all that kind of stuff. Like it's just the motivation flywheel that they have going on right now. I'm sure is incredible, and you know, I enjoyed like every minute of it, like the intensity, like how they pushed me to be better than I thought I could ever be. I've still never had any team push me like as hard as I was pushed. It's the experience I got with Wilder World, the lessons I learned, and how I grew during that year. It's carried me for my entire career. You know, it's like if I'm dealing, I've dealt with plenty of founders after Neo, and it's like, well, you know, if I can sit on a call with Neo and discuss really serious things and all that kind of stuff, it's like, well, I can kind of do that with anyone. And it's like, well, you know, if I can help contribute to a blog or to a video and I'm working alongside like other wilders who have just unbelievable resumes and experience, like, well, I can kind of do that with anyone, you know. So it gave me the confidence that I needed to stick with this industry. And yeah, I want to check my notes. I think that covers. Oh, the other thing, like I know I'm painting this picture of how like intense and driven and focused Neo is, and he really is. But I also want to emphasize like equally, there's still a lot of fun. Like Neo, Frank, Phoenix, they're all really like such fun, genuine people to be around. Like the the one-on-one calls, the group calls that I've been able to be on with them, it's again like it really is a family environment, but that family has the culture of we're here to win, and we're here to be the best, and it's yeah, and it's a great environment, and what I love about how they've changed their marketing since I left is that's now showing through more. Like when I was there, it was very much we're trying to get a seat at the cool kids table. At least that's how I perceived it, because we were trying to get influencers on board. We were cautious about certain things that we said. It was like we don't want to kind of push, you know, brush people the wrong way. And now I think after playing that game long enough and like still just not getting the respect that the Wilders deserve, it's kind of like fuck it, we're gonna build our own table, and like you guys can figure out how to sit with us. The first people here are Nvidia, Samsung, Lamborghini. Like, you know, come try to sit with us instead.
Oh
So
wait, let's talk about Polygon too, who are like
right,
besties with us, and you know the list goes on of
yep,
that type of thing. I wanted to ask you a question just for the many of us that don't have it, and to kind of simplify everything. If you could choose a single word for each one of those founders, what word would you designate to them?
man, that's hard. I gravitate towards family. Like I still really do consider them to be family. You know, it's my Wilder family, and I'll keep that with me forever.
Okay. So now you have this family, you have these people you care about, you have these experiences, you have a passion for what you've learning and what they're building. At the time you were working there is very much more a vision of something to be, not what it is today and not what it will be in the future. And you start kind of diving into what zero is going to be. And why don't you talk a little bit about one, what is zero? What more or less is the vision for someone who doesn't know anything about Zero or Wilder World? What is this technology company, and what is zCHAIN that it's built on?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we could break it down. I think the and I'm sure, like you, like my kind of perception of this has evolved over time. To me, Zero is the best shot that we have at having a global scale super app that's built on crypto rails. So similar to like WeChat in China, I think like Zero could really be like
Can I
the
challenge you with the new announcement of what Base is doing? Have you looked into what Base is releasing with their super app of Base? What do you think the differences will be between those two?
well, I saw the headlines. I didn't look into it that much. Like I know Coinbase is big and all that kind of stuff, but I kind of view Coinbase much more aligned with the establishment. And I've been a Coinbase customer since the beginning, still am. But I think Base as a chain is, for the most part, disliked by the core crypto community that's on Twitter. So I will eventually watch their kind of reveal event. I haven't had the time, but for me, like a lot of this stuff really stems from like a values perspective. I'm I'm very it's not like far right or far left. I don't know what to call it, but I'm
Well,
very
it's probably in line with what they focus on, right? DAOs, decentralization, sovereign ownership, those types of things. I would imagine if you're speaking about base, they're going to be more in line with the corporate America and making sure that investors are taken care of, less about the people. Where Zero, in my mind, is more about they actually want to step out. I think we can see that with the Wyoming.fun and the release of the Metropolis announcement, where basically, you know, they're going to be taking basically 0%. They understand that they're going to get their bread through the little penance of things over many, 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 many transactions over a long period of time. But they want to share with creators. They want to share with the individuals, the people that actually bring value. And so I see Zero as more of the sovereign decentralization where everyone wins instead of the top, where everyone knows the top's going to win no matter what, but they're just going to share a much larger piece of that pie with everyone so that everyone feels valuable. And maybe that's what helps retain and makes it the ultimate super app for everybody.
yeah, and like I guess with Base, the big thing everyone is using right now is Zora, and Zora I think is too similar to what we've seen with like a lot of the other SocialFi apps, where whenever one of these things come out, the influencers that are involved, they say it's gonna change everything. It's like the next big thing. Pay money to buy my token, join my private chat, like all that crap. And Zora, it's I have the app on my phone. I used it a little bit months ago. I guess I should have used it more to get the airdrop and everything. But it's like you post and then that basically creates a meme coin, and like it's all speculative. And like I refuse to believe that any kind of consumer app based on speculation in that way is going to achieve global prominence. Like I'm sorry to anyone that disagrees, but no one wants to like post on Instagram and have people gamble real money on that Instagram post and like lose money and then get pissed at you for posting. Like no one would use Instagram if the whole thing was buying people's pictures. Like this makes no sense. And
So, what do you like about, for those that don't know, on the Zero app, you're able to meow certain posts, right? So, essentially, there's a token meow where you are able to meow their post. And essentially, it's like a super like, right? It's like a way to contribute to the creator of such a post, how do you see the difference in that value over the speculative stuff over at Zora?
Zora is operating from the notion, and I one of their team members said this. I think Jesse might be the main guy. I forget his name, but the guy that like will go around and post those like cringe videos where he's like,
Can I throw you an idea? I want to in real time. I want you to tell me if you like this idea or not. I have pitched it to Neo. Full disclosure, it's just an idea I had listening to some people and individuals, but it's something down this topic, right? It's like adding value to a social network, right? Like we all care about this app. We all believe in this app in many different types of ways. And I'm constantly thinking like, how can you add value in a way that doesn't detract from the actual content and like encouraging good content? And so I thought of this thing called like a super like, right? Where you basically get, call it a golden like or a mega meow or whatever you want to call it, right? Like it's this one thing you get a week, and you can't stack it. You only get to use it once in a week, and you can assign it to a certain post, a certain creator who puts a post down that you really like their content during the week. Maybe you bookmark it, and at the end of the week you do this. But essentially it's a way to really track the things of the greatest amount of value, because a lot of people, they can just hit like, right, and it's like the super thing and they move on, but they don't necessarily really like it. But if you have something that's rare, right, like that's why rare NFTs are so valuable. Tokens with lower circulating supply are more valuable, those types of things, where if you have this low amount, and you have to either use it or lose it to create the rarity where you can't stack up on these things, where you then like the post, I felt like that might be able to add like value in a way that where creators actually see, wow, this content is actually really good content that my followers want to hear more of, or individuals want to hear more of. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
it sounds similar to Reddit Gold. So which works. I think like if we're talking about posts that are within channels, because eventually, assuming zero is huge like we think it will be, Reddit Gold is a great way for like the top kind of posts to be seen by people, and that enables the best content to be seen, which just improves the app experience for everybody. So I think like
Full
it,
disclosure, I'm never on Reddit ever. So this is new. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's already out there. Reddit Gold. I'm gonna look into it. Anyways, keep going.
so yeah, like on to catch you up on Reddit, you can upvote stuff. It's just like liking
Yeah,
on
I
Instagram, but
understand that much about it, but this Reddit
yeah,
Gold
but
I've
you
never
can
heard of.
you can pay money to get what's called Reddit Gold, and you can reward someone's comment with Reddit Gold, and then it kind of highlights in a gold way. It gets pushed up higher the feed, and all that kind of stuff. So I think doing it in that way would make a lot of sense, and it would be really cool if there was something else kind of in the picture. I don't know if maybe the more kind of super likes, whatever you want to call it, the more that you earn as a creator, maybe that gets you better preference on like a zero explore page or whatever. But like if there's something that comes with it, I think that's great. I also think like having people pay for it like they do on Reddit, that's probably a good idea. The one situation where I don't think that this would work is in the sense of just kind of liking posts, because like right now if someone wants to essentially say this is an awesome post, they can click the meow button as many times as they want, right? So that it would have to be more distinguished than that. So I think like if it's something that can push content higher up the feed, and if it's maybe attached to some other benefits for people, then yeah, I think it's a good idea.
No, that's great feedback. I appreciate that. Anyways, so uh, you have the Zero app. For those that don't understand, it's a social networking platform. You go and do it, and right now they've released the wallet. They've released more protocols. They just released staking just last night, where you're able to go and stake your meow. And so the zero platform and protocols are starting to get released that we kind of understood. But you wrote another article about zCHAIN, and where this basically this the sister company of Wilder World Zero, and all the protocols and all the things that they're going to have, it's going to be built on top of this layer one blockchain. Why don't you take us through what this blockchain is, and why you wrote this thesis, and why it's so important to you, and why you feel like it got the traction that it did to be able to move the market?
Yeah, I mean, zChain, like you said, it's the layer one for Zero and Wilder World, and really, I think like we're going to start seeing this more, um, where applications just have very specific needs, and using something like an Ethereum or Solana just isn't necessarily good enough. And when you have your own layer one, you can capture all the value essentially. So like, why use someone else's layer one? Um, but yeah, like for those that don't know, it's hyper optimized for gaming, for social networking. So we're talking really high transactions per second, like zero gas fees. It's really, I think what they're going for is having, they need to have Wilder World and Zero be experiences that people can't tell that they're on blockchain. Like that's what it needs to be. It needs to be completely abstracted away from the user. And for people building on Solana, but much more so for Ethereum. Solana's like gotten pretty great, but that I think is holding back a lot of builders. Like that's I think why we haven't seen breakthrough like consumer apps. Aside from the fact that like a breakthrough consumer app is going to just take a really long time to build, but yeah, you can't get that full chain abstraction experience that could achieve global scale today. And I think they'll get there, but you can't do it right now on those chains. So zChain is here to really solve that problem. And yeah, the reason I wrote the article, it just felt like it was time. I hadn't, I guess I was getting the itch to write something for myself because for my work I'm writing so many articles and tweets for businesses, right? And it's not like something that is just for me. So it was, I was kind of getting that itch, and at the same time, and I've posted about this on Zero, like I think the application's just gotten to the point where it's crossed a threshold where for me it's the most enjoyable app that I use. I can confidently onboard normal people to it at this point. Like I've gotten some friends and family on it, and it's been pretty seamless. Like the onboarding has work to do, which I'm sure everyone agrees, and I know that's of course going to be solved. But like people are enjoying it as a messenger. They're enjoying the social media, and yeah, I part of it was also I wanted to experiment with the X article like content format. It's worked well. I've for businesses. I've been seeing more influencers post that kind of content, and
It
it
was
go
it was
really well.
beautifully well done. I mean, it flowed really nice. I actually really enjoyed it too. Plus, I look at everything in dark mode, and so, when it in that kind of format, I mean, I've read it 3 times now, and it has a really good flow. So I think that was a good choice in location, plus given the content, I think it's a good location to be able to do it. So for it being your first personal article, I think you did an incredible job.
Yeah, it's a good format because the algorithm doesn't penalize it. It seems like the X algorithm's actually uh, increasingly like amplifying that content more than it used to because people are just going viral with these X articles more than they were before. And yeah, I guess the other reason I did it was like, again, like I think just the Wilder, ecosystem of Wilder World and Zero, it's at the point where everything's about to come together, right? Like that's super clear. People are using the app, people are playing the game, and I wanted to write something about Zero, which is of course a lot lesser known, that I could share with some people that I have personal relationships with. And then my conscience is clear. It's like, hey, I gave it to you. Like, if you didn't buy, you can't say anything to me.
I'm
So,
vibing with you right now here, Bart, because you know how many times I felt that very same thing where I will release a video and I get a million questions and I'm just like, go watch my video. Like, I don't know
yeah,
how much more easier I can give it to you. I literally make a video of a devlog to break it all down for you. Make a video about liquidity pool token staking and stuff to help people better understand that. You do these things to help people, and man, those degens, they just want to be spoon fed in ways that are unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. And I think everyone's attention just continues to kind of be with the wrong stuff for the most part. Like, take Pump Fun, for example, like this company that has been max extraction its entire existence. Everyone knows it, and then comes out and is like, we're going to raise basically close to $1 billion. Everyone says it's extractive, it's bad, but then everyone bought it anyways. And like, that's where all the attention has been. And it's like, I know people that like buy Pump, they buy like these other tokens and projects, and they get frustrated when it doesn't go well. And I think like writing the article was like for those type of people too. It's like, can you just look at something that is different than these things? Yeah, than these things. And even for like some of the professional investors that I know, like some VCs and everything, I kind of like subtly slide it to them where I'm like, hey, like I know you write investor theses professionally, like you do it
I've
really
actually
done up
seen some of your
well.
comments where you post your thesis underneath it. I've thought that was like a really nice sly way to kind of be like, oh, this is really great. How about you take a look at this along with it?
Well, hey, if I can convert some people that have bigger followings, that'd be great. But it's been years of trying. um, but yeah, it's like for the VC guys, I was like, hey, like I wrote this. It's more casual. It's trying to be understandable by everybody. It's not this like formal research report. Can you take a look at it and like give me any pointers if you any feedback on how I could make it better? And it's like I sent that to some people, didn't read it. I've talked to other investors about Wilder World, like gaming investors, and I've been like, what do you think about Wilder World? And they're just like, oh, like I don't really care about Wilder World. I don't think it's anything. And it's like you see the games that they're actually focused on, like these pixelated games or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I really like just read the dev, like just read.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
do
mean,
you
we've been
do
banging
you
our
think
heads
it's
against the
really
wall
going to
forever.
be where they have to create that table? I mean, I know they're doing it, but like, I mean, we literally have Lamborghini who are partnered with us. This isn't just like some off the cuff kind of side thing. This is like a legitimate, full on embrace of partnership along with Samsung, along with Nvidia, Polygon, some of these larger kind of companies. Like, what is it going to take? Is it really mind share? Are we just lacking in the ability to capture the mind share, and that's really what it comes down to? Is we have to find some way to go quote unquote like viral to like bring in that mind share? And what do you think it's going to take? I mean, I'll put up the chart, but you put out this article, and it literally moved the market. I mean, there is a legitimate move in the market from the time that you dropped the article until this day, where it kind of reached its time for the people that actually read the article and understand what it is, it moved up to that part. I think it's what, a 3 or 4x from where it was at. Um,
It added $50 million in market cap, like
there you go.
right there. Which
Bart
look,
added
look,
$50
I'm
million
not.
dollars in market cap to the Z token. Well, I call it. I mean, it's meow on ETH, but I basically consider it, the Z
Yeah,
token.
yeah. Can I get
And
2% of
so
that?
it, yeah. We
No,
won't
but
go into
like,
the history of the story of how the token ticker has changed over the years, but for now we're just going to call it Z token, and that's what it is.
yeah, and
Uh,
look, like I don't want anyone to think I take myself too seriously. Like I tweeted about it. It's like, oh, like, but do you move markets, like type of thing? Like that's I haven't tweeted that, but that's like the joke I've been like texting my friends. It's like, yeah, you tweet, but do you move markets? But like, look, someone commented and they were like, yeah, but like, there's not a lot of liquidity. Like, it doesn't take much to pump the token and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but there wasn't any other
yeah.
catalyst, like
I mean,
nothing
it's
else
50
happened.
million.
It's
50
been,
million isn't a small amount.
yeah, I mean, and like the chart's been down only for like a year and a half, which
Yeah.
like, so, I'm not taking it too seriously, but like, I think it had an impact. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I dropped a video and Meow or Zero or Wild went up a certain amount, I I would hold some pride. I think you should be happy and not whatever it was. If you added clarity to people that were already on the fence, people that didn't really understand what it was, and you helped connect the dots and you helped them better understand it. I mean, I think there should be a lot of pride in the fact that you cared about this, right? Like I know that you've been passionate about this in a way more so than me, and I've been extremely passionate about this. You also have a behind the scenes. You have a good understanding. Your mind is one that's able to connect those dots and be able to articulate it in a way where people understand. You basically shared a story through your article to help people go from basically the sentiment of where the market is, the importance of this technology, and then what Zero is doing and the importance of zChain on it. I mean, those types of things are really important, and obviously we can see that because it would be every project's dream to have something like this happen to help reassure confidence in the marketplace and that kind of stuff. So despite what anyone else thinks, it was a great article.
And again, like it's an article. Like I'm not like all great or anything. Like it's just an article. But I think like the context that's important for people is crypto Twitter's not that big. Like it's maybe 30,000 people, like 40,000 people. Like core crypto is super small, and core crypto is what actually moves the markets. It's like I've told companies this before. It's like, yeah, if we're based in Asia, that's great. And yeah, going for, the Chinese audience and stuff, like that's good and we need to do it. But if someone else does what we're doing and they connect with the English and like the American and European, just English speaking crypto Twitter, and like that audience latches on to the project, they're gonna win, and like we're cooked. So like the articles had 20,000 views at this point, and like that's decent.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, a lot of it is, like you said, I think a good product has been already created, or they're in that process of creating something phenomenal. Um, I think between what the team has been doing, also the sentiment of the market, and then you helping connect those dots between helping people, to break it down in a way where people can understand what I mean. I'll be honest, I'm pretty well connected within the community, and I talk to all different sorts of people all the time. And a lot of people, I made sure that people understood, hey, this is really important for you to read. I don't know how else to tell you, but this is really important for you to read to better understand it. And I got a lot of feedback, and they said I didn't fully understand what zChain was and what Zero was going to be doing, but after this article I just better understood, and connected those dots. And not just that, but its correlation with Wilder World and the importance of those two things, because you did a really good job of saying there's zCHAIN with two super apps, right? One super app is going to be Wilder World, the other super app is Zero. Here, let me break this down. And people really gravitated to better understanding those things. And every project needs that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're touching on something that's really important, which is every project needs that sort of stuff. And like for Wilder community members that want to make a difference, every company in the industry, unless it's a Coinbase, a MoonPay,
A
the
Jupiter,
yeah, like
a
the
Binance.
the big dogs, unless it's one of those companies, they are content starved. Absolutely content starved. And teams get so excited if someone puts together a thread or a blog or something that, amplifies what they're trying to do, because a lot of the times like the founders, the leadership team, they're so busy. Like I've been in this position, like as a marketer, as someone who's been a content lead, a head of marketing, like I've held all these roles with small teams, huge teams. Like I've kind of been at every end of the spectrum. These founders oftentimes just don't have the time to take your product announcement and like write their own blog about it and give their thoughts. And a lot of times it's like, hey, can you please quote tweet this announcement? And it's, they just don't have time. Like it's so the projects are content starved. And the way that our community can leverage that is by growing our own personal followings. Like I think today's influencers suck for the most part. Like the biggest influencers of the last year were the LA vape cabal, and they scammed everybody. And the wrong people are getting the big influencer deals. The wrong people are getting the attention. Like, yeah, there's some great people, but it's a problem, and like people know this is a problem. And I think the Wilders, like because of the values that we all share and like the vision that we all share, I think we should be we should be the KOLs. Like we should be the rock stars of crypto and Web3. Yeah, and the way for us to grow our following, this is what I did early on when I was just starting kind of tweeting, which I haven't done a lot since because I've been in the industry professionally, so mostly just doing stuff for other companies. But go create content about other projects. They will repost it. Their community members will love you and they will follow you. It's that simple. And the bar is just, it's not high. Like I think like the density of intelligence and talent in the Wilder community is top tier
Are
in the
you trying to
industry.
tell me something, Bart, that I should just stop creating Wilder World and Zero content and start making more content about other projects?
You should, and everyone else should too. And like, look, when I first started, I had zero experience. So like there's I don't think there's any excuse. Like if someone wants to make a difference, become somebody in the community and then influence other people to join us. Write 20 terrible blogs. Okay? Write terrible tweets. You will get better at it. Eventually some of them will make a difference, right? Like actually
But
one
do you
article that
think
I
that people are willing to do hard things? I mean, this is my idea, right? Like, I'm going to be very, I don't know how many Wilders are going to watch this, but I'm going to be pretty honest right now, right? With my experience. I've been doing this for over a year and a half. This is my first podcast, right? I don't know how to do this. I mean, you and I have been going, you are extremely kind and generous to like be the first one to come on and to allow me to have this experience. It's something I've been wanting to do. It's something I want to do more of, but I don't know how to do this. I mean, yesterday I tried to stream on X and I talked to myself for 50 minutes because my audio ended up stop working and I didn't catch it. And there's all these things where I failed all the time and I'm willing to fail. I'm okay with failing. I know that success is many failures along the way in order to get there. And so I'm comfortable with failing. I'm not afraid of that. But I think individuals like me and you are very unique, right? Like, not a lot of people feel comfortable in failing. They don't feel comfortable in going out and putting themselves out there. They're not comfortable in being leaders. And I've learned this because I'll go and I'll create a lot of videos, and I know some of the most profound OGs within the Wilder community. They're still not even subscribed to me. They're still not, following any, watching any of my content, doing any of that. And maybe that's because they know everything about Wilder World. Maybe they just like Douglas, Belshi Bits sucks, and he, I don't like his content, which is totally fair in all aspects. I'm not expecting that everyone to like what I do or how I say it or what I share. But what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people, they can't even like a post, share a post, quote a post, do those types of things. And now you're asking them, well, if you want to make a difference and you want people to go, you need to go outside your comfort zone of Wilder World and Zero. You need to go into other communities. You've got to create content and you've got to go do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I 100% agree with you. And I know I should probably do more. I, if you've been following me, and I know you do, I've been talking to Star Atlas, and I want to play their game and stream their game and get to know that community a little bit more. They've been extremely kind to me. My number one X post was about which metaverse platform is going to make it. And I mean, you look at my graph of impressions. I mean, it's like a huge spike, and it was this post that like went out, and I hit a nerve throughout the whole community, and I end up having the spaces, and I talked to a lot of people, different metaverse platforms and stuff like that. But the communities that were extremely kind to me were like Star Atlas and Cornucopias are probably the two extremely most kind like communities. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go out and check them out. Probably Parallel 2, Off the Grid, uh, also the Illuvium. A couple of the community members in Illuvium have been extremely kind. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm here like saying, hey, come look at Wilder World. If I'm not willing to go and look at all these other projects, like, why would they be willing to come into our silo and take a look at ours? So it's like, yeah, you're right. I need to go in and have a legitimate, real first person experience to be able to say, yeah, I like Wilder World better. Maybe I'll like one of these other games better. I don't know. Maybe I'll like their community a little bit better. I don't know. Right? Like, I haven't put myself out there well enough in order to go and check out some of these community members. So what you're saying, I say all of this to basically say I agree with you, right? Like, I agree that more people need to create content, more people need to get out of our silo and reach across the aisle and talk with these other community members and show that Wilder World is built different. And what I'm saying is the community, the Wilder spirit, that like leadership to be able to go in and try to do something right. There are so many community members within Wilder World that I look up to, you being one of them. And I could list off multiple dozens of individuals that just are extremely talented, extremely kind, well versed in what they do. And I think as a collective, I think we can make a huge difference in bringing people not just in, but also kind of reaching across and like bringing the communities together where we can have fun together with our games, where Wilders can have fun with a Star Atlas game or a game night over there, and that they can come have a game night with us. And we can basically just bond over each other and our love for the industry and for the passion of different things. The manner of which that will go and who can be the leader for that and how many people will join in, I don't know, Bart. I'll have to say I'm a little skeptical, but here's me calling out to everybody along with Bart, like, please, by all means, I would support you, I would help you, but I can't also do it all.
Yeah, and I think like you're right to be skeptical, but there's some things that I think are in our advantage right now. So, like, number one, we're all in crypto. We've all been getting ridiculed and made fun of. Like, I think everyone's very used to being uncomfortable, or at least like having to endure people saying negative things about like their beliefs or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, it can be the same thing with tweets. Like, are you after telling like that cute girl about your meme coin, are you really scared to post a tweet about something that like about? But um but I think the issue is people don't realize that they can really make a difference. I think like the inertia is, well, I only have like 200 followers. They're all Wilder people. So, me retweeting Belshi's post, they're all going to see it anyways. Me tweeting about Wilder World, like it's an echo chamber, and that's like the actual problem. So, it's like guys, you can make a difference. And like there's a gap, like I said, there's a gap in the industry right now for influencers that actually are properly valued, aligned to like the original kind of crypto ethos, like the cyberpunk ethos, like all that kind of stuff. And that are honest, like well-intentioned people that want to just have good interactions with others and talk about the space and be positive. Like that's what the industry needs. And I don't think that there's a better community for that to come from than the Wilders. And I actually think like from a strategic standpoint for the future of the project, this is really important, like far beyond just initial adoption, right? Like when we get into kind of the end game here, if things go well, we're going to be competing with Meta and like big tech, the biggest kind of companies in the world. And at that point, a lot of us are going to have a ton of money. And like with money, you can have power and influence. And now's the perfect time to kind of get used to using your values and any creative talents that you have to actually make a difference. Like we don't know how that could become useful to the movement eventually, right? Like this is, to me, it's a lot more than just we're building a game. It's like we are competing to be the dominant player in the future virtual economy of the world, which I know Neo thinks will supersede the physical economy, right? And it's like, do you guys think that there aren't going to be massively powerful people and companies trying to destroy us at some point? Like that's coming. So if we don't have built up influence in our own community, crypto is like our home. If we don't really have people with influence in our own home, we can't really put a lot of hope into having influence outside of it. And it's like there's been some people from crypto that have managed to kind of break through outside of crypto and get influence, which for the wrong reasons. LA vape cabal, like they've been with phase and all this kind of stuff, and it's like all the wrong reasons. But like, what if we did it for the right reasons? And like, how powerful could that be, right? And like it goes into really like my overall thesis for zero, which is for I mentioned like how my thesis has kind of shifted. Like for a while, the kind of anchor for me was super app, but now it's actually open source company. Like right now, the big tech companies are closed, and it's really the notion of, if Apple was a completely open source company, like what would that do for the world? I go back to when I was in like middle school, and I'm sure other people had this experience. You have your iPod Touch or your early iPhone, and you jailbreak it, and then you can do all this cool stuff, right? But you're not supposed to do that. Like Apple's a closed platform. But imagine if it was open and there was a Apple marketplace where anyone could create awesome, basically jailbreak features that you could buy and use. Imagine what that would do for a company the size of Apple or Meta to be fully open and enable people, anyone with an internet connection and a computer, to contribute to the Apple economy or the Meta economy. Like right now, there's very few people that can do that. But imagine someone in Zimbabwe that's just like a really bright kid and comes across a laptop and learns how to code, and they create this awesome little widget for the iPhone that they can kind of just freely put on there, and it takes off. Like that changes not only their life, but the whole village. It's technology, like the actual accumulated value of all of modern technology is just in the hands of so few people. And I think Zero has a chance to really be the first big tech company that is fully open source. And if it can achieve that, and there's so much that has to happen, like, we have to build our own hardware, we have to, there's so many steps. But if we can do that, I really think it's going to be a significant driver of prosperity for the world. Like that's what I think is at stake. And there's, again, like, the powers that be are going to try to destroy this once they realize what's happening at kind of every chance they get. So as a community, like as Wilders, we need to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. Like if you're on this movement, if you care about Wilder World and you care about Zero, you care about crypto, right? Like you just care about like the future of blockchain.
And what's the underlining thing that when it comes to crypto, right? Like, for instance, like for me, I think of um, freedom. We talked about this in the beginning. There's this sense of freedom that we're able to have when it comes to these apps. There's also this sense of um, personal sovereignty. And I know these are words that we use within Zero and Wilder World all the time, but I think about them all the time. As myself, that I've had struggles in my life, up and down, all around. When I've had the most peace is when I've had the most control, right? It's when things have been out of my control that so much of my peace have been taken from me. And so when I think about these applications and whatnot, and you're talking about open source and whatnot, that's freedom in totality, right? For people have full control over their own wealth. They have full control over how they move it and how they distribute it, how they earn it, and how they invest it, and all of those types of things. But also on top of that, their information, their knowledge, the inputs that they put in. And so there's this totality of digital freedom that comes along with all of that. Also comes a level of responsibility that sometimes I feel like people would prefer to be a sheep, to just follow and to allow the few to be in control, because then they have to worry about less. But what does it mean to you, though? You speak about these things, but what is the totality that you think of when it comes to crypto? Like, what's the essence of crypto in your mind when you keep talking about we as people within crypto? What is that essence?
Yeah, I think you touched on it. It's personal sovereignty, and also availability of opportunity, right? Like with the current financial system, most of the world is either underbanked or unbanked, and like people without access to US dollars, it's just such an uneven playing field for them. And like how many incredible bright minds have not been able to reach their full potential because they just aren't a part of the system. So, really, like we need an open source world. We need our money to be open source. We need our greatest technology to be open source, and we need people to benefit from the technology. And like that's something that I think that's what concerns me the most about crypto right now is the original premise of Bitcoin is peer-to-peer money. And now, and if my brother watches this, he's going to be pissed. But now everyone is like Bitcoin as digital gold has really taken over the narrative, and the crypto money that people are using, it's stablecoins. And you see the banks are on board with stablecoins, the governments are on board with stablecoins. They're saying they're on board with Bitcoin, but it to me, and I'm not going to go off into the full tangent, but it's just it's very suspicious to me. Whereas the core of what Bitcoin is we're going to destroy the banks. So why are the banks on board with Bitcoin? Like that just fundamentally doesn't align. And like, I said my brother would be pissed because I've had so many arguments with him about this stuff. And I know like Bitcoin maxis would argue about it too, and all that kind of stuff. But, it's like the arguments that will be had are a lot about the technology and like, okay, well, Bitcoin can still exist as digital gold, and we can kind of just use like Bitcoin backed stable coins, or we can do other alternatives there. And I think the technical debates are overvalued. To me, I'm looking at what the two sides are. Like on one side, there used to be Bitcoin and the ultra pro personal sovereignty, ultra pro freedom people, and on the other side, it was the bankers, the people that have the power in the world, and it was very clearly a divide between the two. It's not like the banks didn't know what Bitcoin was, in 2010. Like they're not stupid. They absolutely knew. And for the last decade plus, they've been spending all this time telling everyone that Bitcoin's a scam. Everyone I know that's a normie still thinks Bitcoin's like useless, it's a scam, and that kind of stuff. And now they're buying up, the corporations are buying up all the Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. So, um, I guess all of this is to say, like the crypto movement, it's not a guarantee. Zero and while the world, even with the technology doing everything that we hope it does, it's not a guarantee that like the movement wins in the end. And Bitcoin doesn't have a guarantee either. So, we wrapping it back to the community, like we need to be the best that we can be to protect to protect this movement and ensure that it lives on. For me, it's like, and I'm sure for others, crypto comes down to what kind of world do we actually want to live in? What world do we want to have our children to be able to grow up in? I think the majority of people would agree that they don't like how the world is today, and crypto provides a vision into a world that could be very different in many positive ways. But we we need to preserve that, and to preserve it, we need to gain influence in the world. We need to acquire wealth. We need to get power. So, step one is like, let's write some tweets. Let's grow some influence within crypto. We'll figure out kind of politics and like government. We'll get into that stuff later as a movement. But like for right now, let's support other projects that are doing things the right way. Let's make friends with other people that share our values. Let's grow our follower count and use that to spread Wilder World in Zero to more people. That's really step one. So that's my spiel to the community members. Let's
That's
do it.
awesome. Well, tell me what's next for you? What do you have going on? Where can people find you? Where can people know if they're interested in hearing more about you and your articles, things like that?
Yeah, well, what's what's next is I think I need to write more. You guys have all spurred me on a little bit, and I mean, I'm gonna practice what I'm preaching here. I think the next article I'm gonna write about is Nub, which is one of my favorite Solana meme coins. I actually got the idea to write the article, and then within 24 hours, someone had written a Nub article, and it got like 20,000 views. Did really well. It was good, and so that kind of gave me confirmation of that it was a good idea. And it's, the reason I'm choosing that is, yes, I'm invested in it, but they just have a really passionate community. It's been around for a long time, and it's a pool that I can jump into that I've not jumped into. It's kind of just my intuition's leading me there. So that's what I'm going to do next. And my strategy, we'll see if it works, is with X articles. If you finish the article and you just do period enter, like pretty far down, as far as you want, and then you tag a bunch of people, the article, when it's published, shows up in everyone's notifications on X. So it's almost like delivering it to people as a direct email, and it shows up really beautifully. Like it has, notifications are pretty skinny usually. Like this shows up as a big card it's like impossible to
It
miss.
is. It is beautiful. Like, I saw your card, and, to be honest, you inspired me. I wanna learn how to write better. I've always wanted to write a book. And a large part of that is going to be about my journey with Wilder World and stuff like that, with everything encompassing it. One, I have to succeed, as in Wilder World and Zero need to succeed. I've backed a horse in a very major way and in a multiple of ways. And so I think um, every story needs conflict, and so I think I'm in that period of conflict, and there needs to be resolution to that conflict. And I have a lot of hope and belief that the support I've given to the team, the content I've created for it, it's all been in support of this conflict resolution. So you've inspired me to write some articles as well, to kind of exercise that writing ability and whatnot. You definitely inspire me with your ability to write. So I'm really happy to hear that you are going to be writing more articles. I don't think I'll be satisfied enough to not get more of your articles. So please do. I'll be interested in whatever you write about just because of how you write it.
Yeah, maybe I can convince you to get some nub, but yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just type in nub on the search, and I'm gonna go through, the last like week, see everyone that's tweeted about nub, and I'm gonna tag them at the bottom of the article. So everyone who's talking about nub is gonna get this article directly in their notifications. They're going to see it. Every community's content starved. I think it'll do really well. That's my thesis. So, and then from there, I'm someone that just really follows my intuition. Like at the beginning of the podcast, I said I'm a Christian. Like I think intuition's the Holy Spirit really guiding me to what's next. And kind of how I work with it is, if I just get this kind of nagging feeling for like 2 3 months where it's like, you really should do this, man. Like this is, this could be something, like just kind of do it. I've learned to follow that, and like it's never led me wrong. Like that's the whole kind of journey since I started at Wilder World, has been like steps that have been intuition led. And like right now my intuition's right about nub. So as silly as it sounds, that's
No,
that's
doesn't
that's
sound
what's
silly to me
next.
at all. I mean, I navigate my life in a very similar way. And I've always said that my favorite emotion is inspiration. And the reason why I feel like inspiration is so important in my life is in a similar way that you just described. I'm a Christian as well. Is that I feel like it's the best way to describe to someone what the spirit is. When I say like I feel the spirit or whatever, to some people that's like a cringe word, right? To say the spirit. And so like the best way to explain it to them is like, have you ever felt inspired? Have you ever, felt inspired to do something or to pursue something or whatever, that feeling of inspiration, or watched a movie and you left going, I want to be a better person, or I want to go achieve this thing. Like in my mind, that's the closest thing to describe that. And that's why to me, inspiration is like my favorite emotion that I feel. Because when I feel inspired, I feel alive. I feel like I can do anything when I feel that like inspiration in my life. And it helps me because I'm not the greatest video content creator, video editor. Obviously, I feel like the way you articulate things is much better than I do and whatnot. But I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to become the better version of myself to be able to go out there and just try. And I want to inspire other people to go and try, just like we've been trying to talk about now. And so I love hearing you talk about that. I love hearing you talk about your, you know, following your intuition to go, even if it's just nubs, even if it seems silly. Who cares?
Yeah, and
Who
it's like,
cares?
guys, I mean, when I first started tweeting in that first Wilder World article, like it was terrifying. Seriously, it was like, what are people going to say? Like I've been like my whole last 4 years of life is like creating content and putting it out there. And sometimes you put so much effort into something and it flops, and there's all these like things with that, but it's, yeah, if you've got that inspiration, use that to push through the fear. Like the fear is what prevents you from doing the things that'll actually make your life better. And I think for some people they might say like, okay, well, I don't have any inspiration. Like I don't feel it. Like what can I do? I think that motion begets motion. And once you just pick something, start doing something, write a tweet, write a Twitter thread about alluvium. How about that? Do that, get some motion, write, publish it, overcome the fear of publishing it, see just how it feels. It's like a personal mental test in a way. And like the more you do it, the better it'll get. But once you actually get started doing anything and like getting some motion in your life, whether it's creative, or maybe you want to set up like some sort of, I don't know, like operating system for your life, like get better organized, or you want to like clean your kitchen or whatever, like just get into the first step, and like the next step comes after that, and like eventually that's kind of, you'll start finding that you're more inspired to do things. Like me at this stage, I have too many things. Like there's too many things. I can't do it all. Like another article I want to write about is the open source concept that we talked about. I think that would be awesome. But I've got this long list and notion of stuff that I want to create and do, and it's very hard for me to stay focused on like what's actually putting meat on the table for my family. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, I need to just focus on that, and if I have free time I can do all the other stuff. But yeah, like the more motion you have, like the more steps you take, the more inspired you'll be to do new things, and the better you'll become at it. Like I look back on my original Wilder World article, and I know so many people say it's like amazing and awesome, and I'm just like, wow, like I don't think it's very well written anymore, right? And at the time, it was like, that's the best I got. So yeah, it's with everything. Like all the great YouTubers, all the greats of anything, they sucked when they first started, and luckily, I think like we are in an industry that really supports people failing. And this is crypto, there's no blueprint for anything. It's not like we're trying to start a coffee shop, and if you can't follow the coffee shop blueprint, like come on man, really, you couldn't figure out that? There's no blueprint for any of this stuff. We're talking about magic internet tokens and putting the world on chain, and no one, all of these things have never been done before. So you're in the right spot to try something new and just put yourself out there. So
I agree. Well, thanks, Bart. Really appreciate the time that you've taken to be able to come and have a conversation with me. I've really enjoyed your stories. I've enjoyed your articles. I'm looking forward to your future articles. I'm going to make sure to put all of his content down in the description below. The two articles that we've talked a lot about, as well as where you can go and follow him, so you can make sure you don't miss out on any of his other articles. I'll leave my information. Make sure you follow me on YouTube and on X, and please follow us on Zero Messenger. I'll put down both of our links so you can follow. You can join Zero Messenger and get in. You'll automatically start a conversation with one of us, and you'll be able to start your journey on a decentralized platform where you'll be able to join the revolution and join the rest of us with it all. But I really appreciate you guys as we navigate this new podcast, this Wilder podcast that I'll be putting on. Part of it, it's not just going to be Wilder content. I hope to bring in individuals from other projects to be able to have a conversation with them to better understand what they're doing and better understand the space, so that as a Wilder, as myself as a Wilder, and as Wilders that have been following me, they can better understand the bigger picture of what's going on. Because just like Bart was explaining, I really do believe that this space is built to grow and innovate and to bring everyone on. We say that Wilder World is for everyone, and Zero is building the technology so that everyone can utilize their open source technology in order to build their ideas, to be able to innovate in the ways they want to innovate, and to be able to have the tools and technology in order to do that. And the more that people do that, The more that people come on to and utilize the zCHAIN and the zero protocols, the more successful all of us is going to be. And we should encourage that, and we should invite people over. So until next time, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.